Hey everybody, Angel Arts here, and welcome back to another Let's Hang Out and Get to Know our candidates for my upcoming Mass Effect Tabletop RPG campaign. I am joined here tonight by Jeffality. Say hi, Jeff.
Hello, everyone.
As I was telling Jeff, we are going to begin with the out of character portion of the interview. So let's go ahead and try to get to know him a little bit better. So, Jeff, my first question for you is what is it about the Mass Effect universe or sci-fi that interests you?
Outside the fact, when I first started the first game, I had very low expectations. I first saw the game featured on G4 TV, and I was like, "What is this game? It's probably one of those big hype games. I don't want to play this." And then my buddy got it for me for Christmas. I was like, "Great, Mass Effect, awesome! I guess I'm gonna pop it in." A few hours later, I don't want to stop playing. I don't want to go home and stop playing. I have to live my life. I'm late for work. No, dead serious. First time I played was late for work. It was great. I was like floored. Outside the fact that it was the first time I played a game where I made a character that actually had a name that they could call me by. I didn't mind the name Shepard. I mean, I understood the name. You're shepherding the herd and for the great of humanity. Honestly, it was the presentation. You see, when it comes to gaming, I'm not a gung ho like action gamer, completionist, or a difficulty Lloyd. I'm kind of an artsy gamer. I'm like one of those stooges that'll stay in the field like, wow, I really like that landscape. It's really cool. So it's like the feeling and the whole situation just feels really good. And I don't know, it was the film grain that they put imposed on the screen that made it more like a film noir. The characters were alive. I love the combat system at the time. It's kind of grinding on me now. I don't know, just everything about it was just I just loved it. I didn't even know any of the races, and I was starting to see them. I was like, what kind of race is that? And I was actually interested in learning them because it was all different. It's just exciting.
What is it about tabletop gaming or role playing that interests you?
I've been playing since 3.5 edition of Dungeons and Dragons came out. Now, when I grew up during this time, there wasn't any YouTube or anything. I didn't even have internet at the time. It was just me, my brother, and my sister, and then my step siblings at the time. And I was given these books during Christmas, and I didn't know how to work them, so I had to sit down and actually read the books. Nobody taught me how to play the game, so I had to teach myself, and then I had to teach them, and it just grew over the years. Over the time, I've created campaigns. I've actually joined a campaign a couple of years ago. We used to have a weekly D&D night that brought us all together. It was like 6 hours of interesting times to be had. When I can play a game where I can create a hulking zombie that is a fallen paladin, has no eyes, and has a little handicapped guy on his back that annoys the crap out of him called Dewey Longshanks and just shoots stuff and can yell at him. It's like, hey, go that way. We gotta open that door. It's like, I can't see anything. It's like, this way, big lummox. Go, move. I'm fine. Okay, give me the shot. Like, oh, darn it. Stop moving. Uh, and then working with my players' characters. They were so great the way they played their characters that I felt the need to create their own figurines. They didn't last very long.
That's pretty awesome.
It's like I'm a huge enthusiast.
Why do you believe that you would be a good fit for my DMing style?
Well, the reason why I feel like I'd fit really good for your campaign is just because it's very similar to my own campaigning style. Because I'm not really a min-maxer. I don't like sitting at a table with numbers and make the most powerful character ever. I don't even like being the head front of the group. Sometimes I have to do it just because no one else can come up with decisions on what to do. I don't want to sit there and be like, yay, I got a new longsword with the higher DPS. Woo! No, it's just boring. I want to be the guys that's like, hey guys, do you mind going with the scam real quick? Because I kind of want to get us out of this bill. And I'm going to use some of my magic to do it. So, this one time I had to... I was I was like, hey guys, watch this. Hey, I think those guys over there wanted to pay our bill, and then I'd use some magic to make it sound like someone over there was saying, "Yeah, we want to pay their bill. Come over here," and not totally pay attention to them at all. Of course, that was a goofy campaign, so it was okay to make silly things like that.
Gotcha.
So with your campaign, I understand that going with you're the DM, or the GM, the game master, whatever you want. Your say is the last say of them all, and I am fully willing to work with that. And your stories are fascinating, and I love to be a part of them. And honestly, I get really into role playing. In fact, I'll probably find the combats the most dullest parts, unless I can liven them up with some interesting stuff. Like, for example, I really got into when Reclusiarch took the time and stayed in character when Delwyn went into blood magic mode for the first time. And he was like, "No, don't! You're losing your humanity!" And he actually took an entire round to be unable to do anything. And that was beautiful. It, like, made his character more powerful. And it was... I want to add that to this campaign because I'm going to be focusing a lot more on making the situations interesting and to help entertain the other viewers, of course. Like you, and you. Not you, Steve. You kind of freaked me out, dude. In fact, turn your... No, go away. Sorry, Steve weirds me out.
It's okay. Steve pops his head every once in a while. It's all right.
Ugh.
I've been used to his sly remarks. So, Jeff, what do you believe makes you a good player to game with?
Probably because I'm not on an ego power hungry like streak. I'm not planning to be the leader of this pack unless for some reason you pick 3 other people who just like to stay in the background and hug the warm and like their drinks warm. But I seriously doubt it, knowing you. No. Besides, that's not what I made my character to specifically gel with the other characters, both positively and negatively. As a player, I will get along with anybody on the table because it's fun. Everybody needs to be different. If everyone was the same, it's just boring. My character can go almost any area. That's what I've designed him to be. Interesting, to be social, to actually deal with the other players. Interaction with the other player NPCs is what I'm looking forward to the most. So I honestly really think I can actually contribute to that if I'm given the chance.
So we're going to move on to the in-character portion.
All right, then I'll have to make an address to the audience real quick.
Okay.
The reason why I'm addressing you, the viewers, is because my character, he's blind. Yeah, no, shocker. Like, how's a blind person? Well, don't worry about that. For now, without going into the technical mumbo-jumbo, he basically has a visor that acts as, for the moment, sonar. Just think Daredevil. Whether or not I have it on or at the moment, I'm going to mention in character. But just so some of my things that I say is maybe strange, but that's just because he's blind.
Yes, sir. May I help you?
Greetings, human. I'm assuming you're human. I don't have too many, I don't have too many interactions with your kind. I am looking for a Mr. Liam, of course.
Do you have an appointment, sir?
Ma'am, I do not have time for these trifles and appointments. The man will want to see me. That is all you need to know.
You sense a little bit of nervousness in her voice as she trails away, but you also hear the ruffling of papers. And then she says, "Mr. Cyrus Lennex? Lennex?"
I am surprised you can even recount my name using such barbaric tools. Is that what I see? Paper? Where do you even get such supplies?
In the office store down the street?
Useless. Should stick with the holographic interface. You'd be able to get so much more work done. But anyways, you're wasting my time. I must see Mr. Liam immediately, as is of the utmost importance.
Yes, of course, sir. Yeah, here, right this way. And she will escort you down the hall. I'm sure you would be able to follow her.
I'm going to try. I am blind, after all.
Yes. For our viewers' sake, Jeffality, give us a physical description of your character.
Right. I should also probably mention, my gentleman here is actually a salarian scientist / doctor. In fact, he's known as Dr. Cyrus Lennex. He is obviously blind and is currently using his visor at the moment, so he can appear like he can see. The visor itself doesn't actually do much except sending out constant pings, which he himself is directly connected to his cerebral setup in his system that only he can use. And
Okay.
this Dr. Day is on the right side of his temple.
Ah, Doctor. Dr. Lennex, I presume. Such a pleasure to have you, sir.
Ah, Mr. Liam, a man who I know secretly despises me, but will still sound like he's an upstanding gentleman to my face.
You are such a jokester. I heard that you had such a great sense of humor, and you feel him take your hand as he gives it a shake.
My hand will return the shake as well. Um, it's going to be a little stiff, as in my character does not really care about him.
Right. Um. So,
I'd also be looking off in the generation, not showing an interest.
well then, he says. Let's get to business, shall we? Please
Yes,
take a seat, Mr. Dr. Lennox.
can you please show me where the seat is?
Oh,
Because
of
at this
course.
point, I've actually taken off my visor so that way he can see that I'm blind.
All right. Oh, yes, of course. The secretary says next to you, and she guides you over to an extremely cushy, very very cushy seat.
Ah, thank you. I didn't feel like leaving that thing on. It really rattles the nerves sometimes when you keep it on for long amounts of time. Besides, this makes it so much more face-to-face connectivity. After all, I just love seeing that face. No, I don't.
Nerves, you say, Dr. Lennox. Perhaps we can help you. Would you like? Can I care for a drink, perhaps? What would be your beverage of choice? Would you say?
Mm, probably the most filtered water you have on the station.
Filtered, bottled, or filtered sparkling, Doctor?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I stutter? I said filtered water. That means figure out which is the most filtered of the two.
I
I'm a
think we.
man of great importance. I need to get to where I'm going, and I would rather we skip most of these pleasantries.
Very well then. He snaps his fingers. Jeanette, filtered water for the gentleman? Yes, Mr. Musey. All right, Dr. Lennox, we'll continue playing your game your way. Let us go through your records and let's go through these questions as quickly as possible so we can have you on your way. I understand here, Dr. Lennox, that you have a background working with as an Eclipse agent.
May I see that record?
Uh, he says, I don't know, can you see the record?
Just hand it here, please. Do not worry about my eyesight.
He will hand you what appears to be a piece of paper.
Ugh, again with this paper. Let me put on my visor real quick. And with a circular motion, he will attach the visor to his right temporal lobe, and the red beam will shoot across his eyes, and he'll begin to scan the page. What a ridiculous, primitive way of marking one's agendas. How did you get this information, by the way?
He says, we have our sources. Every single person who goes through this program needs to have some sort of a background check.
Really, and while keeping his face centered on the guy, he'll light a very quick incineration tech on the paper while still looking at him in his hand. Well, you don't seem to have it anymore.
Apparently not, he says. Tell
Should've-
me, Dr. Lennox, what exactly do you wish to gain or get out of your experience with this crew?
Immediate transportation, limited access to my workplace, because I will be setting up shop in one of the barbaric rooms you're going to have. However, in the meantime, I will actually offer assistance to anyone who is injured along the ship within means, of course. I do not pull teeth. They're disgusting and they need to floss. But I am willing to announce that trade-off for quick transportation to my location.
And what specifically, I think you started mentioning it a little bit, but what specifically do you believe you can contribute to this crew and its ship?
Making their doctor look very stupid. I may be blind, but as you can see, I hold much weight in the medical I wouldn't say community, I would say underbelly.
So you specialize both in the medical field and in the technical field.
More so with the medical field.
May I ask what led you to pursue a focus on the medical field?
None of your business.
For, he
You don't need to
says,
know that for me to take passage.
Now comes the point where I will be asking you some hypothetical questions, if you will. I will
Well, I
bring up
might give you some hypothetical answers then.
That's probably the best thing to do for a hypothetical question, yes.
Well, if you hypothetically waste my time, I'm going to hypothetically get really upset.
I suppose I should
please.
hypothetically get on with the question then. Let us say that you are indeed accepted and pulled into this crew of the ship. Let us say that the ship somehow at some point during its voyages crash lands on a foreign planet that you nor anyone else in your crew is particularly familiar with. Therefore, you and the captain and several of your crew, armed crew, will be going off into the wilderness searching for supplies or anything that you can use to repair the ship. During this time, you are attacked by a group of bandits who all are demanding for you to hand over all of your credits. The bandits consist of this: a dozen Vorcha, half of which with pistols, and let's say half with assault rifles, one massive berserking Krogan with a shotgun, one Asari, who, as far as you can tell, is completely unarmed. What do you do, Dr. Lennex?
First, I would have to probably take a split second to think about how did I ever decide to get onto a crew that has a ship that would obviously crash land onto a backside of planets. I didn't realize the ships that you were planning to put me on would have such chances. However, your hypothetical question, I'll give you my actual answer. Well, first I would analyze the situation. First off, you told me about the Vorcha hunters with the pistols. First off, they're heavily underarmed, and I would probably analyze quickly what the pistol making grade is. I would also quickly run down in my brain the fact that they are primitive, overactive, tend for overaggression, and will most likely haphazardly jump into a situation if it doesn't involve them getting with credits and or blood. Not to mention, I would also keep in mind that these creatures only live for 20 years. I would also note the Krogan. I would assess his current stress level and see if it's whether or not a good idea to make note that I sterilized and neutered his entire race just by being a salarian, as they tend to afflict upon us. As for the Asari, she is my best choice to coerce with. So I would rise my hand up, silence the soldiers. They're going to respect me because I'm going to save their lives on that ship. And I'm going to step forward. Greetings, Asari. I have to first thank you for coming up to us, demanding our money, pointing guns at us. Love it. Great way to begin negotiations. And he'll point at them very callously.
The Asari will probably respond to you and once again say she's not interested in pleasantries, she just demands your credits now or they will fire. You also kind of grasp that she does so in a fairly less eloquent way. Probably her grammar is terrible.
Grammar is terrible. I would immediately assume a simpleton. With this, I would give a quick smirk. I would look around at my crew, and I'm assuming that my crew is at least decently trained for these situations, or am I currently unknown to that factor?
Decently
In fact, what
trained.
are we armed with?
Decently trained, yes.
Do we outnumber them, or do they outnumber us?
We'll say it's about even.
Even.
Perhaps they outnumber you by 3 or 4.
That is interesting, especially since we have multitude assailants who have quick health regeneration thing, a very bothersome trait when in combat.
Your assessment is that these bandits are probably biting off a little bit more than they can chew.
Most excellent. After all, I do have countermeasures for dealing with such situations. I would slowly maybe take a step forward, draw my own pistol, not raise it, of course, hold it to my side, position my head in the general direction of the voice I heard that I'm assuming is the Asari, and say
Yes.
these words. And what if we don't?
The Asari will then yell out, "Think out of character Xena the warrior princess, "Ay, ay, 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 ay," or something along those lines, something kind of feral. At which
Alright.
point you have a few seconds to hear the clicks of the gun clips, as it seems like the Vorcha are about to open fire.
At this point, I would have to wager how quickly I can disable most of their fighters with probably my tech. And then I would have to command the troops, if they're willing to listen to me, probably will. Their captain is not going to be louder than I am.
Probably.
And I would have them target their leader, which will be the Asari.
Okay.
At the same time as they're getting ready, I will point my gun to the Asari. The men will point their guns at the others. My other arm will be priming for some flames, whichever method I have at the time.
Of course.
And I'll point my gun at the Asari, if I haven't already said that, which I think I did. And I'm going to say these words. Within the next 6 seconds, be sure that you will be the first to die.
Let's move on to the final hypothetical question.
By the way, my character's going to sigh, roll his head, switch his legs around, and then look very slack.
You have 6 gravely ill patients, 5 of whom are in urgent need of organ transplants. You cannot help them, though, because there are no available organs that can be used to save their lives. The 6th patient, however, will die without a particular medicine, which you do contain in your possession. If this 6th patient dies, you will be able to save the other 5 patients by using the organs of patient 6, who is, in fact, an organ donor. What do you do, Dr. Lennex?
In the name of the greater good, I would have to assess that the more people I can save at once would be the most doable. I would have to administer the medicine to the one who can give me the organs. Of course, he is a donor. I would have to take those organs because I would have to save the others. However, the higher-ups are probably not going to like that, but they can kiss my salarian scaly hind. I'm here to save people, not let 5 die and let one silly guy live because he wanted all of his organs in his body.
One final question, Dr. Lennex. Red, blue, or green?
And he leans forward. Are you seriously asking me the color of your blood? Or my blood?
I am seriously waiting for an answer.
I'm seriously getting annoyed. I would have to say...
Seriously, or hypothetically seriously?
Hypothetically, I'm going to have to say neither because I can't see colors. So one or the other doesn't matter to me.
There is a camera that we have recording you right this moment, and we would like a recording that we are going to be sending directly to the captain and his crew. I would like you to provide for them your final pitch as to why they should select you to be a member of their crew.
Well, first he's going to carelessly point his head in the direction of the camera because he knew it was there all along. He automatically does a system scan of the area with his pinging and knew he was being recorded the entire time. Deemed it safe after he did a low-level hack of the situation beforehand because he never walks into a situation where the tides could be turned against him at a moment's hand. He'll look towards this camera and say the words, "I will save your lives in exchange for saving mine." That's all you need to know.